and it's called the land of the brave. The whole world knows our name. One God and 50 states.
Hello and welcome to the Woke is Broke podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Stanko, and let's get into it. So over the weekend, Saturday Night Live released what was hailed as an instant classic, at least by CNN. And in this instant classic, they had a weekend update segment with Goober the Clown, who had an abortion when she was 22. Let's watch a little bit of that.
The Supreme Court heard arguments this week in Women's Whole Health v. Texas about the controversial Texas law that essentially bans all abortions after just 6 weeks. Here to cheer us up, well, this can't be right, Goober the Clown, who had an abortion when she was 23.
I'm Goober the Clown.
So, Goober, you had an abortion when you were 23?
Hey, whoa, slow down. I'm a clown. Let's clown around. Hey, smell this flower.
You're not going to squirt me, are you?
Oh, I would never.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha.
It seems like you do want to talk about your abortion.
Well, actually, I really don't. But people keep bringing it up, so I got to keep talking about freaking abortion. But it's a rough subject, so we're going to do fun clown stuff to make it more palatable. Whee! Hey, who wants a balloon animal? You want a giraffe? Jay?
You don't have to do this, Cecily.
Who's Cecily? I'm Goober. And I wish I didn't have to do this, because the abortion I had at 23 is my personal clown business. But that's all some people in this country want to discuss all the time, even though clown abortion was legalized in Clown v. Wade in 1973. Here.
Can you stop saying clown abortion? What is this?
I don't know. It's a worm. I don't know. Hey, did you know 1 in 3 clowns will have a clown abortion in their lifetime? You don't, because they don't tell you.
Apparently that's what's passing as comedy these days. You know, I'll be honest, I did not see the instant classicness of it. What I saw was more evidence that not only SNL has not been funny since Chris Farley died, but also an overwhelming amount of pro-abortion propaganda horse crap. That's what I saw. The most egregious claim of which was the claim that 1 in 3 women have an abortion. That's a load of crap. You know, but don't take my word for it. Don't take my word for it. No. Take PolitiFact's word for it. They debunked this not too long ago. They said, that statement is a bit misleading in that it sounds like it is based on hard data showing 1 in 3 women have had abortions. Of late, the statistic is based on extrapolations of 2008 data analyzed by the Guttmacher Institute in an effort to estimate how many women will have an abortion during their reproductive years. Meantime, abortion rates have generally declined, so it's possible such estimates don't reflect reality. Translation, the 1 in 3 estimate, it's a load of crap. All right, even the researchers who came up with that estimate acknowledged that the estimate was predicated on the notion that abortion rates were going to remain consistent, that they weren't going to go down. They have gone down. They've been going down year after year for a very long time. Why? Because America is becoming more pro-life. There's a reason when you look at the March for Life rallies, you'll see young women, young people in their teens, in their 20s, in their 30s showing up. And when you go to the Women's March, right, it's a bunch of hippy-dippy drag queen type characters, all in their 50s, all Ashley Judge, all screaming about their vaginas. All right, the country is becoming more pro-life as science develops. Thank you for that, science, right? Because as science develops, we're able to hear more, we're able to see more. It becomes more and more clear that it's undeniable that you are taking a life when you commit abortion, right? So there should be some solace in that knowledge that we are becoming more pro-life as a nation. But, you know, since we're on the abortion train right now, why don't we just stick with it? Why don't we go over some statistics that you're not going to hear on SNL, that you're not going to hear from Ashley Judd, that you're not going to hear from any pro-abortion advocate, shall we? According to a research paper put out by the British Journal of Psychiatry entitled Abortion and Mental Health, Quantitative Synthesis and Analysis of Research, published 1995 to 2009 by Priscilla K. Coleman. Now, this research paper was comprised of 22 studies across 6 different countries and included 877,000 participants. All right, it's the largest quantitative estimate of mental health risks associated with induced abortion available in world literature. Okay, and what did it find? It found the number of women who report chronic episodes of depression, 44%. Drug use, 19%. Promiscuous activity, 43%. Alcohol abuse, 60%. It found that while the overall suicide rate of women is 11.3 per 100,000, the suicide rate for women who have abortions is 34.7 per 100,000. All right, what about some other risks? What about maybe breast cancer? According to the Breast Cancer Prevention Institute, they released a collection of global studies on induced abortion and breast cancer risk. Now, these studies were conducted throughout the years, going all the way back to 1957, all the way to as recently as 2018, right? These studies were conducted in numerous countries. To name a few, Japan, Estonia, Yugoslavia, United States, France, Italy, Denmark, Russia, Norway, Sweden, China, Greece, Netherlands, Britain, Slovenia, Germany, Scotland, Europe, Iran, Turkey, Armenia, India, Bangladesh, and South Asia, right? 22 countries, 6 decades of data, 76 studies, right? Of these 76 studies, 61 found that there was a positive correlation between induced abortion and breast cancer, all right? 41 studies found that this positive association was statistically significant. All right, and we could talk about the other risks, right? We could talk about you are 3 to 4 times more likely to experience a secondary infertility from induced abortion. All right, we could talk about that, meaning that if you're in your 20s, say, and you have 2 to 3 abortions, you may never be able to carry a baby to term naturally. You could have 2 to 3 abortions in your early 20s. Flash forward 10 years, you meet the right guy, maybe you want to start a family, right? And then you find out that you're suffering from secondary infertility as a result. As a result of your abortions, right? And you're just never able to carry a baby to term properly. We could talk about all these risks. The reality is that if you actually cared about women's rights, if you actually cared about women's health, if you actually cared about a woman's ability, not women's choice, but a woman's ability to make an informed choice, then all of these facts would be highly relevant. They would be shared. You would know them. You would talk about them. But they're not going to talk about that at SNL. Ashley Judd isn't going to talk about it. No pro-abortion advocate is going to talk about it. Do you want to know why? Because there isn't a pro-abortion advocate in the world who actually cares about women's rights, women's health, or women's choice. It's just about them. It's always about them. Doesn't matter if you have to kill a kid to get what you want. Doesn't matter if you're sentencing somebody to be 3 times more likely to commit suicide if they have an abortion, right? It doesn't matter if you have to waive off the risk of breast cancer. It doesn't matter. Nobody and nothing else matters. It's all about you. That is what abortion, for the majority of abortions administered, are about. It's about killing that kid for your personal convenience, right? And what kills me about these advocates is that they are damning women everywhere who have had abortions or considering abortions. They are damning them to a life of some real hardships, of some real mental struggles, of some real physical struggles. Women who are suffering to this day and being left in the winds by Planned Parenthood, right? There's no therapy clinics in Planned Parenthood. They don't offer any support for women who've had abortions. You want to know where all the help for women who have had abortions comes from? Comes from Christian charities, all right? 9 times out of 10. It comes from people who actually care about women, going out there and helping them. And these people it's just unbelievably shallow and so easy to see through. I mean, if you couldn't pick up on that watching any footage from a women's march in which they shout and scream down anyone who disagrees with them, I just don't know what you're watching then, Good God. Yeah, so SNL, thank you for proving once again that you are partisan hacks, hell-bent on not paying any attention to actual facts, and also that you don't have any comedic actors on it. And I'm not even talking about comedians. I mean, did you see the guy in that Weekend Update? He couldn't comedic act for his life. That was awful to watch. I'm an actor. I know good acting when I see it. That was crap. You know, they don't even have comedians. They can't even write for shit. I mean, honest to God, this is the future of entertainment if these bozos are allowed to run everything and write everything when it comes to storytelling, movie making, video games, music. I mean, honest to God, it's just an unbelievable shit show. But I do hope that this talk was at least a little bit enlightening on the matters of abortion and the risks associated with them. Know your facts. Stay informed. I do have one more thing before we wrap up. Let's roll into that. Okay, so this isn't new news per se, but I do have to cover it. So last week, Michael Eric Dyson, Professor Michael Eric Dyson, a man who was once made famous for calling Jordan Peterson an angry old white man. Yeah, he sat down with spinster hack Joy Reid over at MSNBC to talk about the newly elected Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, Winsome Sears. Now, for those of you who don't know, Winsome Sears is a black mother of 3 and a former U.S. Marine. Or translation, she's a badass, through and through. If you listen to her speeches, if you watch her videos, you'll pick up on this really quick. She is just a tough as nails shit kicker with just a lot of passion and patriotism in her heart. You know, and what Michael Eric Dyson and Joy Reid had to say about Winsome Sears is easily just some of the most despicable garbage I have ever heard in my life. Let's listen to a little bit of that.
The problem is here, they want white supremacy by ventriloquist effect. There is a black mouth moving, but a white idea through the running on the runway of the tongue of a figure who justifies and legitimates the white supremacist practices. And it is to the chagrin of those of us who study race that the white folk on the other side and the right wingers on the other side don't understand this is politics 101 and this is race, not even 101. What's beneath 101? It's the pre-K of race. You should understand the fact that if you tell black people, look, I support a Negro. Look, there is a person of color that I am in favor of, and that person of color happens to undermine and undercut and subvert the very principles about which we are concerned, you do yourself no service by pointing to them as an example of your racial progressivism.
Okay, I'm going to make this real clear. If to label anyone politically because of the color of their skin is a racist act. Okay, the idea that your political beliefs are inherently tied to your race is the epitome of racism. Okay, so if you are suggesting that Winsome Sears is not a real black person because she is not exhibiting black think, you are a racist. If you are going to say that for those who wish to value and judge people not based on the color of their skin, but on their individual character, that is a product of white think, you are a racist. And Michael Eric Dyson and Joy Reid are easily 2 of the biggest racists in America today. If you were to listen to the rhetoric of Jim Crow segregationists from 60 years ago, it would be indistinguishable from the rhetoric that was said in that interview last week. It would be indistinguishable. But don't take my word for it. Take Joe Biden's word for it.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
In any event, that wraps up the time that we have for today on the Woke is Broke podcast. As always, I am Joshua Stanko saying stay safe, stay informed, and God bless. We'll catch you next time.